Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. Ready to start the show?
Sure.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? Well, welcome back to the Cantina. It is a Friday, hopefully. Yeah, it should be. I only have two hours left of that movie to watch, breaking fourth wall, all talking about pre-recordings. But welcome to the show. I am Kyle, and joined, as always, by
Cam.
And it's great to talk about something besides what's on HBO Max as we speak.
But given that, breaking the fourth wall again, we're recording this on a Thursday, and everybody's just watched it. I think it's to be expected that we're all talked out, online about that one today. So
yeah. So, anyways, there was some cool-ish Star Wars stuff to come up this week that I think opens up an interesting discussion, and more intriguing coded messages about some Star Wars casting. So that's pretty cool. What's the first story I kind of got at was this non-canon Star Wars content coming to Disney Plus. Yeah. Ewoks Adventures.
So the two Ewoks movies, Caravan of Courage, Battle of Endor, which are very loosely connected by the Ewoks, but nothing else. We've got the 2 seasons of the Ewoks animated series, which kind of does have a little bit of a place in my nostalgic heart at some point, but at the end of the day, it's not really relevant anymore.
No.
And also, it's interesting because it's strange that this wasn't already on there as the Gennady Tarkovsky Clone Wars stuff that was before Filoni got involved in Clone Wars. And it wasn't bad, that. It was, there wasn't much to it. It was very stylized. It was all visual with not a lot of, it was like very much an animation project, very, stylized and, silent, almost, and it was all done by the movements and everything. I actually quite liked it. But that was watching it back in the day, around about when it, came out, and the way I was, I suppose, about Star Wars back then. And what else? Oh yeah, and was it the Tale of the Wookiee or something? Which was a kind of animated short which appeared on the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. Yeah, is also coming on as well, and it's April. The dates escape me now. I think it's April 6th. I think that they come on to Disney Plus. And what we've heard is that they're going to be marketed as sort of, what's the word that was used? Something like
legacy.
Something like that, or extended. Star Wars or something like that. They're going to be in a separate section from the kind of main Star Wars canon content.
But it's not Legends. It's not the same word for the old EU, which some EU purists actually consider the Ewoks canon, because what goes on their planet and their adventures really doesn't affect the galaxy too much. So in some people's mind, even that is part of the old EU. I never considered it anything. I didn't even by the time I discovered those, because born in 85, January, and see Star Wars at about 4 years old for the first time. But I don't get to those Ewok movies until I'm like 8, 9, and but by then I've already had years of Star Wars, so I never really got into them too much because I was already into the more grown up Star Wars.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, for me, the first one came out was in 1984, so I was like a year after Return of the Jedi, so you've got to remember what kind of mind frame you'd be in as a fan at that point.
Yeah.
We've just did Star Wars The Jedi. I imagine that now and then they'd say there's a new Star Wars film coming out, but Star Wars isn't on it anywhere, which confuses you right away. But it's got Ewoks in it, so it must be Star Wars, right? And I remember hounding my dad to take me to the cinema to see it, and I remember even as a young lad in 1984, so I was 6 or 7 then, right? Or it might have been 1985 actually, but either way, I was about 6 or 7 years old when I saw it, and I remember even at that point being absolutely disappointed with how nothing like Star Wars this movie was. Even like the human actors and everything that went on with them, I'm sitting looking at that as a young lad going, that's not right, that doesn't fit with the rest of Star Wars, and I think what people were hoping is that young kids like that just wouldn't know the difference, and that's just not Star Wars fans, is it? There might have been some kids out there that did that, but right away as a kid I was like, nah, that doesn't fit with the rest of Star Wars, and that's that.
Yeah. The interesting thing is like we said is it's not going under the Legends
I'm trying to find it. I googled it and I can't find it.
Legends umbrella, and I wonder what that means, because is it something as simple as, well, we are dumbasses at Disney, we don't plan ahead, and Marvel is already calling their non-MCU stuff Marvel Legends, and we don't want to be the same, but that makes no sense because the Legends branding is a positive thing for EU fans. Like I said, you've got EU purists, like they hate Disney Star Wars, right? And
we were talking about this. I mean, you've got that whole group called the TFM, the Fandom Menace, who are just completely anti anything. They say that it's fan fiction, and that and in some ways I would agree with them, but in other ways I wouldn't. And they just, anything that Disney touches, they're just kind of basically committed to saying, we don't want this. This isn't our Star Wars. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's
the fact that Mandalorian was good doesn't really matter to them because it's still moved on from Lucas, and at that point they just don't consider it anymore.
Exactly.
So, as we talked about last week, there's all types of Star Wars fans out there, as a gradient, and that's just one of the, I think, different to some of the other extreme groups actually, but they're just like this group that's in their own corner, but they seem to also mesh quite a lot with the sort of, I know this is getting political, but what's deemed the kind of right corner of the Star Wars universe as well. But I never felt that was a good analogy for what that really was. I think that's trying to politicize something which,
I
there's
think
politics in it, because there's politics in everything, but I think there was more fan politics than real world politics in some ways.
And that's part of the issue of Disney and what they've done with Star Wars since getting it. What a lot of people might not know, some of the more casual fans, younger fans, maybe even people that weren't big EU fans, maybe read a book or two, but there was a one book of a new trilogy ready for print and cover everything, and the rest of that trilogy being worked on and finished, and plans going forward. and Disney just they gave it the axe. It really shocked a lot of people, because for 20 plus years, the only Star Wars sequel stuff you had, not Clone Wars era stuff, prequel era stuff. Only sequel stuff you had was the EU, and then
and I mean they did make a big marketing thing about it before even the prequels came out, saying that this was all official and everything was approved by George Lucas and the story team and all that sort of stuff, and writers would say certain things they wanted to do they weren't allowed to do, so there was a semblance of organisation to this, even at the point that I think Lucas was, to be fair, very detached from it, and other people doing for him. I mean, but at the same time, there were things that happened in the EU that George Lucas took himself for the prequels. The name Coruscant being the city planet and the main planet of that's not a George Lucas invention at all.
Tim Zahn?
Was it Zahn? Yeah. And the whole idea of this, that there was a central planet and it was just one big city. I mean, that was totally his idea, and Lucas, I'm not going to say stole it, but it was a great idea, and you should, it was the kind of thing you say, yes, that's great, and we're going to use that, thanks for coming up with that, here's some money. But
not only that, Cam, but gotta think about this. The 97 special edition is the first time we get an EU Easter egg with the added celebration scene at the end on Coruscant. Somebody in the crowd yells out Coruscant, and
but it wasn't quite what we see now in it, where they added in some of the architecture,
not 100%,
the prequels,
just the fact that it's
the idea
named
that it was,
and it's there, and that he knew he was going to be using it in the prequels, and so it's like, here's the question. Like I said, is Disney knows that there's people like you and I that are like, okay, this stuff you guys are doing works, this stuff over here you guys are doing doesn't work, so we'll consume this and we won't consume that. To me, it looks like at first it almost felt like Disney kind of wanted to push some of us away if we weren't willing to consume all of it, or if we weren't willing to consume mostly the new stuff and less of the old. They didn't care as much, but they realized that wasn't working, and I'm wondering if this is the beginning of like an olive branch, bringing in some non-canon George Lucas era Star Wars related content, and giving it to the fans to consume if they please. What do you think?
I mean, right, this is my thoughts on it. I think we're looking at two very different mediums here. So I think this makes total sense to me, despite the fact that all of these things we've talked about aren't canon and they're not really that good either, right?
No,
but it doesn't matter, because Disney's trying to build a library, and this is nostalgia. Movies that they own that's just sitting in their library. Why not just get it on there? It doesn't make any sense not to put it on there, as long as they don't confuse the branding. But the print side of things is a different fish, because I just don't think Disney are particularly that interested, other than releasing novels which attempt to fix some of the plot holes in the stuff that they've done already. That's all they've really done so far. I mean, we've talked about it before. The books that they have produced have been, I think that's starting to improve slightly now, and certainly the High Republic, despite the fact that we're not too into what we hear about it, at least it is pushing in its own direction in some way. But I think it would be good,
or is it instead working? It's doing what Filoni does. It's working the story it wants to tell into the existing thing. So that's how they, go come up with having Yoda be the kind of silent and antagonist, the unknowing and antagonist, if you will. I mean, whatever.
I think what they should do, and I don't think they will do this because, I think there's potentially some legal stuff there that we don't know about as well, and I know that there's writers that have written Star Wars stuff that really aren't happy with Disney at the moment because basically their payment stopped and stuff like that, so there's a lot of stuff going on in that realm as well. So basically it was like Disney basically took over for Lucasfilm, and it was Lucasfilm offered to pay these people rights, and then they said, well, that was a deal with Lucasfilm, we're reneging on that now.
Yeah.
So that would cause them problems. But actually, in an ideal world, what they should have did is play nice and allow writers to do that if they want, because it's a completely different medium, and the people that are people can have basically two different mediums going on and handle that, especially if one of them's a book only and it's marked as legends. Do you know what I mean? It's always clearly marked, and you could even put a little bit on a blurb of every book to say this is not canon, the current Star Wars, but follows the old legend stories before the prequels came out. Enjoy, that kind of thing. I just don't see what's the point in not doing it. But I think at the moment it's all about guarding their brand. I think it will come eventually, Kyle. I think there will be a time in the future when they chill out. But I think it's all been about let's protect that brand and try and focus it all into one cohesive unit at the moment, which them taking it over and wanting to push on. That's what. And they had to get rid of all that if they wanted to push on in a different direction. So it was a kind of a necessity for them at the time, because if they'd have just filmed those books, they'd had to pay those writers an absolute fortune for that. So they just, financially they couldn't do that. They had to go their own way. And in some ways, as I've said to you as well, I think the EU painted itself into a corner in certain respects, and ran out of steam for me. At one point anyway, it's everything just the power creep kit. It was like everybody was just trying to outdo the person previous to them. And some characters had so much plot armor, that it was unbelievable. And anyway, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but all we can say at the moment is it does make sense. Disney Plus, it isn't getting to do with books, and it never will do because they're completely different mediums. But there is opportunity there for Disney to make money out of this content. That's what they have to realise. But they have to be careful that people don't just start saying this is the real, and use it to rebel against what they're actually doing, because that could be risky as well. And I think they have to have enough there to invest people on their own side first before they make any steps towards something like that. I don't think they're quite confident enough yet.
Let me ask this, okay? If let's because this is what I would propose. If I'm over there at the publishing side of things, I'm like, was it Christy? I think it was Christy Goldie that was writing sort of the Jedi. Was it? Let me double check. Sword of the Jedi. It was going to be. No, there we go. It was Christy Goldie. Golden. Why do I always say Christy Goldie? Trying to fucking rhyme her name. Sorry, Miss Golden. Christy Golden. Her sort of the Jedi trilogy. One book was finished. We know the others were worked on, being finished. Go ahead and digital only. To the Kindle or app or so try do a one time limited targeted release.
There's also another part of that though, because she is not going to write the other two parts unless, you know, there's money to be made at it. So it might be that that's just something she did. So what's the point of releasing the first in a trilogy if she's got no intention of doing
No. I'm saying make the deal with her that yes, we're going to release this. You know, we're going to release it. People will be able to buy it. I'm just saying that you don't have to give this the type of rollout that they gave the High Republic. You know, they had webinar stuff. They had a big digital press release for it, and you don't have to do that.
Right now, when they're pushing the High Republic, though, right? Let's say they did that in 6 months, and they're still trying to push the High Republic, and it outsells the High Republic.
Exactly.
Like you wouldn't believe. That's embarrassing for Disney. That's not necessarily a great move.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because it could be seen as a rebellion. Purchase.
What is we? I have to bring it up. We are all witnessing what happens when a company listens to who its fans. They consume that product. It's kind of like this. Let me put it to you this way. You have two comic books, comic book A and comic book B, okay? Now, comic book A, you have three of them, A, B, and C. Now, comic book A is selling 80,000 a month. Comic book B is selling 78,000 a month. And comic book C is selling 30,000 a month. You have to make cuts to your company due to, rising costs, slumping sales, rise in ink cartridges, whatever. What book do you cut to save money?
I think that's too simple a question. I mean, no one's going to say...
It's exactly what business is.
I know, but the Star Wars brand as a whole is worth more. Like, that's all right for comics, but what if there's a ton of movies that are doing well, that it's going by the lowest selling one, and you're completely invested in that franchise? You've got a whole thing connected to it moving along, and therefore you kind of want to just say to people, write better stories for this, please, so that our numbers go up. But we really have to let go of the higher series, because
doing that. And additionally,
what they did is they let go the more popular books, if you like. But then I don't know how well Star Wars books were selling at the point they stopped them anyway. I think when the prequels come out, that dried up a lot of the Star Wars book sales.
No. The Old Republic stuff, like the post PT EU stuff that did well was old Republic stuff, not the prequel era stuff. The prequel era and then the sequel stuff really did take a hit, and especially after the Vong invasion, like you said, power creep. But the Darth Bane, the stuff that came out of the MMOs and whatnot, those were big sellers and very popular. But this is the thing about it though. Everyone that wants to consume the High Republic is consuming it right now. So there's no EU person that would have rather consumed the High Republic given the option, because right now they have it.
There might be a lot of people though that are reading things about the High Republic and going, nah, that's not for me. Because I remember before it came out, we were saying, I'll probably get an audiobook, try it just to kind of catch up with what's going on in that era, and you never know, it might be good. But my thoughts were always, and you agreed that, you know, it probably won't be good because they're aiming it at young adults, kids' books and stuff like that. And we thought that was a bad idea, but we'd maybe check it out.
Timeline
but
was
since
the
we've
worst idea.
More about it, you know, it's lost all interest for me, so I'm not going to take it. If they started bringing out some adult books set in the kind of...
They do. They have two or three of them out
But
now.
what I mean is ones that were getting really well reviewed, taking the story in an interesting direction, and people were going, do you know what? Read this. This is really good. You know what I mean? You and I might go, all right, I'm hearing a lot of buzz about this. I'm going to try this trilogy do you know what I mean? And because you don't necessarily have to have jumped into the story in the past, but that's what I would do as a businessman. If the High Republic books are shit, right? Then I go to all the writers and I say, you failed. Fuck off. And I get better writers in. It's as simple as that, you know. It's a job. If you're not doing it, you get fired and you move on.
Because I know why you said I was in my comic book thing was too simple. In my example, let's say A was Spider-Man, B was Uncanny X-Men, and C was Miss Marvel, which does undersell some books that have been canceled, yet it was kept on. That's why you said my ABC example was too simple, but I said it was, you know, in business that's what it's supposed to be, just A, B, and C. Because you just brought up a point. You would go to that writer's room and be like, you guys all wrote crap, and you listened to your boyfriend make a stoner joke and actually created a stone character. You're all fired. But Cam, take a look at the picture of the High Republic writer's room. If you did that as a business, you would then have a lot of bad PR as well.
Nah, so you just base it purely on sales. You know what I mean? I think it's
purely
wrong.
On sales. Let the EU,
you know, you just go sales. Boom.
Be there.
It wasn't good enough. Fans didn't appreciate it. You move on. I don't care if you're an alien, you're a half-blind dog, you're a man or a woman or anything.
Exactly.
But if you're a writer working for me and I want you to write good stories and you write shit stories, then it's my job as your boss to say I'm not happy with this. I've decided to move on in a different direction.
Yep. And
anywho,
and with
all of this
with
from
fans
Ewoks
having that same ability with their wallet have already basically spoken. So to me, either bring it back and call it Legends, it's its own thing and it'll continue on, or just the sort of the Jedi trilogy because of where it was at. And yes, Christy Golden should get paid. Let it come out. You guys are letting this other non-canon stuff come out. Let that come out. Reach out to the EU fans in some way, and at least say, we, to the authors, to the old authors, we want better stories. How did you guys do it back in the day? Because so far the only person they brought back was Tim Zahn. And while his Thrawn stuff is well reviewed, I constantly see it compared to the original Thrawn trilogy as an inferior. There's not been many reviews I've seen people call the new Thrawn superior. It is what it is. But it's money on the table, Disney.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I don't think it will happen.
No,
anytime soon.
But it should.
So
that casting news is actually something we talked about last week.
Yeah, it's So this is obviously the Mina Masood casting rumor for KRT. They had said, go for the story again. There's an Ezra Thrawn story coming. We broke that first. KRT have since confirmed it and said it's actually moving on quite soon, and they also have a lead for who was going to be cast as Ezra, and it was Mina Masood. All sounds good. This week, Mina posted an Instagram post of him, body out, which a lot of actors do these days because they've got fans that want to kind of go, oh, you're so cute, of all sexies that just like to look at them.
For studios,
Yeah,
look, I can get in shape.
It doesn't interest me, but hey, each to their own. But what he did do is he I know, and this might just be the ultimate troll, but I don't think so. But he basically made a quote of something that Ezra had said in season 2 of Rebels when he was captured by stormtroopers. So obviously everybody reacts to that, puts that together with the KRT story, and and all the stuff about Ezra Thrawn. And it's confirmed, Mina Masood and Ezra Thrawn show. It's
Half-Life
not.
3?
But
what?
I think,
oh, wait, sorry.
Mephisto is Mina Masood confirmed.
What other conspiracy video? What other geek conspiracy? Half-Life 3, Mephisto, and WandaVision. What else? BioShock 4.
That may actually be common, but that's for another.
I want our moon, our 50s, 60s Cold War era moon base guys. Come on,
that's it. That's the one. And if they're not going to do that, they're missing a trick.
Oh.
Anyway, people listening to this going, "This is not Star Wars." What are you two guys going on about? But we think that this is evidence that is pointing towards that maybe he has actually agreed, and that's why he put the quote out as a wee tease. But nothing official will come out until clearly Disney decide that they want to say who's going to be playing Ezra Bridger, and they have to make sure that coincides with where Ezra Bridger's going to come back as well. You don't cast somebody for nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's he's either going to show up as a mystery character at some point, like he's going to appear as an epilogue at the end of Ahsoka or something. We're going to see him and Thrawn, and we're all going to go, oh, that's Ezra Bridger. Or they're going to announce that he's been cast as Ezra Bridger in show A, B, C, or D. It could be a number of shows. What is interesting at the moment, I guess, is that we're pretty close to Mando season 3 kicking off, aren't we? But we don't have an idea yet when Ahsoka shoots. So is this kind of long range casting from Lucasfilm, where they're saying, right, we're going to use Ezra at this point, so we need to get an actor in, or are they casting him at the moment because he's going to show up in something sooner rather than later, and they need the role cast because of that? I think we'll just have to wait and see in that. I don't think anybody can tell us what the answer is. I know KRT indicated they think that we had no timeline when we first broke the kind of Ezra Thrawn news, and even the Boba Fett show and all that sort of stuff. Our source didn't give us a timeline for this. It wasn't till the Disney Investor Day that we went, okay, check, these are all coming. But then we started to get an idea of when they might come, and even then we just don't know when Ahsoka or Rangers of the New Republic are set to start filming, or when they're due to release at all. All we know so far is, Book of Boba Fett, Mando season 3, obviously, and then the Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Andor shows. They're all, we know when they're coming, or they're in production, or Mando season 3 will be in production within a few weeks, if you like. So, the other two, we just don't know when they're coming. So if there is an Ezra Thrawn show around about the same time, it might be that they want to kind of reveal Ezra as a mystery character before they announce the Ezra Thrawn show or something. You know how they like to kind of do these kind of things sometimes. So that's why it's really hard to say where and when he's going to show up. As far as we know, he could show up in Mando season 3 as a regular character for all we know at this point. That's how little we actually, I know we get these leaks, but we don't get story-based leaks. We don't have people that say, hey, do you want to know the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Hold on, I'll send you the script. That just doesn't happen, right? So, as we've said in previous podcasts, when we have sources that we know are legit, we still have to rely on, it's up to them to decide what they can tell us safely, you know what I mean, without getting themselves into trouble. So, you know, we don't just get all the details that we want. It's not as if we know some things that we're not allowed to publish, but we certainly don't know everything, and we're just not telling people what's going on. It just doesn't work like that. So it's okay to sometimes say we just don't know. And that's the truth here. We just don't know what's going on. But I think it seems likely that Mena Massoud is probably going to be playing Ezra Bridger at some point in something. If that makes sense. And that's as much as we can say, isn't it?
I agree. Yeah, I think it's good idea. And this is one of the tough spots right now. It's the Disney next expo is next year. D23 expo will be in 22 because it was 2019 last time, because that was the time we almost lost Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which they had that memorial for him outside the Anaheim Convention Center. How fucking awesome was that? Fuck you, Sony. I with the most of the conventions either canceled or going digital again this year. No D23. I wonder if we'll get another fall end of quarter 3 or end of quarter 4 type investor day.
Well, I mean, I think at the moment, right, what I would say is that all the studios at the moment, the presentation that's caused the biggest buzz was the Disney Investor Day. I mean, it gave us so much to write about, you know, and then they can all go off and do interviews with people and talk a little bit more about what they want to talk about and what they don't want to talk about, you know, and it's like the cat's out the bag with all these kind of leaks and everything like that. It was really, really good, and the fact that, you know, it made sense to put it all into one event rather than have, I mean, I know it's great, like, celebration, because you get the actual Star Wars fans there, and you've got them all in their cosplays, and, you know, and it's the same at Comic-Con and all that. There are all these different things that people can go to, and they can't go to them all, and, you know, maybe that's the one that they always attend each year. But when they're not on, actually, I think the Disney Investor Day is the best idea. And if they are going to make announcements, I think having another day like that further down the line, where they kind of update and a few things they want to, makes absolute sense, because, you know, everybody's there covering it.
Should they maintain it as Disney Investor Day thing, or
for the moment,
should they
until they can go back to what they,
and just when it's digital, it's digital. When it's in person, it's in person. Like maybe it's in person every other year and digital in between that. I
think they need to start going back to the yearly things, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's money to be made at convention centres. People don't, you know, sit online and go, oh, that was a really good presentation. Now I'm going to go and search on Amazon and buy some Star Wars gear.
An exclusive.
If you're at if you're at a convention and you're seeing all these figures and cool stuff that, you know, is for sale, you know, that's a kid in the candy store.
Oh God, yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's hard not to spend your money. You know, that's lost.
What money?
The digital stuff.
It's all gone after a convention.
See, I just don't have a lot of disposable cash.
We gotta sell the house.
We don't get really conventions here, but I went to one in Scotland a couple of years ago with my son. He was desperate to go, and there wasn't a lot of like panels or things that really interested me. But he just wanted to go cosplay and look at all the stuff, do you know what I mean, that you could buy and all that sort of stuff. So I was kind of bored, but he loved just looking through all the figures you could buy, because he collects all the, you know, and all these kind of the different DC, Star Wars figures, just whatever he's kind of into. I think he's too old to play with them now, but he's kind of turned into a collector of them, and he likes to have them and display them and all that sort of stuff, you know. So it was like a goldmine to him, and to me as well, because I lost it all. But you know, that was you know, you don't get that online. So I think they need to get back to that. as soon as they can. But I think at the moment, well, those things can't be done safely, because having that many people in the one place, you know, that's next year before we get to those massive crowds again. So, you know, why not? You know, why not create a bit of buzz about your product at the end of the day?
Yep, and Disney should definitely look at because D23 I think has always been.
It depends how far they want to announce stuff as well. You know, I mean, it could just be a smaller thing. You know, that was quite a lot of content that they were announcing on the Disney Investor Day. And you know, if we think we don't even have a timeline for some of the projects in terms of, you know, if we look at Marvel, they didn't go as far into the Disney Plus side as they did the movies side. And that's because I think there's a couple of surprises that they've got Disney Plus show coming. Because, for example, I think there's a Young Avengers show coming
after Fox deal closed.
I think they're going to have an event Disney Plus show for Young Avengers rather than a movie. That'll bring kind of all these young characters together.
I agree.
It's just a guess, but I've heard some rumours around, you know, a Young Avengers show for a while as well. They just don't want to announce that. And I think, you know, possibly something like an Ezra Throne or whatever the kind of the culmination of what they're doing with the Mandoverse is. We don't know how close or far away that is yet, but it could just be another presentation to say, right, took you so far, here's the next step when they're a bit more ready to announce it. They've got the casts in place, do you know what I mean? Everybody's, you know, signed up for it and they can get a bit of promotion about it, you know.
Especially after the Obi-Wan script fiasco and stuff, so it's smart to take time and plan. That's always been one of our biggest complaints story wise for Disney and franchise wise. It's like, you guys, not only did you not know what you wanted to do for your trilogy, but you don't know what you want to do with your franchise. That's not the best way to run a business. But they seem to be
maybe they do now. Yeah, maybe they do. They certainly do seem to have a plan now, which is always good. You know, you don't have to plan 10 years in advance necessarily. But you know, 5 years a 5-year plan. You know, and that's smart advice for Lucasfilm to always have a 5-year plan going forward as well.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a few things we've to find out about that. So, any final thoughts this week, Kyle?
No, I'm down with the casting. Aladdin was okay. I hate musicals, so for me it was like watching scenes and clips, not like watching the whole thing.
Aladdin, you mean?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet actually, so I don't know what he's like as an actor. I haven't seen Aladdin.
Yeah,
so. My daughter's watched it.
Fine. I had no issues with him. I had no issues with anyone. I think Naomi God, what is her last name? I'm drawing a blank now. She played Jasmine, Pink Ranger, and Power Rangers.
It could be Naomi Watts, Naomi Harris. This is just actresses I'm thinking about that have get the name Naomi.
Yeah,
so,
I know. No. Watts is the first one that comes to mind because of the really good
Naomi Harris
King Kong
as well
version. Wait, what movie was I talking about before I said King Kong? Naomi what? Where am I at? You'd said Naomi Watts,
and that's where you went to King Kong. But you were just saying basically, I know me somebody that was in Aladdin. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was because I've not seen it.
IMDb. That's what I was trying to figure. Oh my God, Naomi Scott. There we go. Naomi Scott. She is a very talented actress. And I keep trying to get her somewhere in the MCU. But make her Sue Storm.
Be good for?
I don't care.
Sue Storm is.
Literally as long as it's not. She could have been a good.
What's her name? Naomi Scott.
She could have been a good Jen Walker. Jammer and I almost said Cammer. Jammer and I both thought Naomi Scott for She-Hulk would have been great. I think as long as it's just a well-written character. She could play almost anyone in the MCU. I just want to see her.
They could get her into Star Wars.
Awesome.
I mean, there's not a lot of characters I could say she would fit that in Star Wars, but they're creating new characters for this kind of new canon, if you like, all the time.
She
so
definitely
surely there's
bring her to Star Wars. Absolutely. Just don't make her Rey 2.0 or as boring as Jyn Erso. There's a balance there somewhere. Go talk to the Russo brothers about balance. Anyways, you guys, thanks so much for listening this week and indulging in the EU stuff. Oh wait, Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the ScreenRant article from a few days ago?
I wondered if you were going to bring this up.
Yeah.
So that's because we just I mean, it's unlikely people for ScreenRant particularly want to listen to our podcast, but if you do, me and Kev would just like to say that we fundamentally disagree with your opinion, and basically that was that the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight was good and
garbage.
Revenge of the Sith.
Hate it.
You and I have debated this with Seth for years.
Disgusting.
Who does like it, and it's not a good fight, and all we have to do to prove our point is post that gif of the two of them spinning their blades round behind their back, where it just makes no sense in sword fight, and that was where that was the fight where they let the choreographers go crazy, and they just went, we'll have them doing this, we'll have them doing that, that's cool, and they took it too far, and the amount of dialogue that's in it being that there's none, I remember Rick McCallum saying, the dialogue will cut as much as the blades do in this final fight, and then I watched it and I was like, you fucking lying toad, Rick McCallum. I don't like that guy anyway. He was such a yes man to Lucas. But anyway, it was just, that's a lie, because they hardly say after they go, you will try. They don't think there's another word said between them until the whole "I have failed you, Anakin," that whole bit. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing, no dialogue in between that, and they take it too far. It's not exciting. People don't swirl lightsabers round their back. It's dancing. It wasn't a fight. Actually, one thing about the sequel trilogy, the fights were all much better. The more like what I would expect, a proper actual fight between two people. And we kind of always forgive the Phantom Menace one a little bit, because it was like just at the start and they hadn't pushed it just too far yet with the Phantom Menace. Plus, these are characters that had nothing to say to each other. What's Darth Maul got to say to Qui-Gon Jinn or Obi-Wan Kenobi? He doesn't fucking know them. Dooku was a different story, and he talks quite a bit while he's fighting, but that's what was absent from the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin. They should have had bits where they just stopped fighting and spoke to each other. And it was a verbal confrontation, and then they get angry and they go, or Anakin gets angry and it goes back to blades again, and
there's a lot of ways to do it.
I dreamed it in my head for so many years what that fight would be like, and it was just, it's not that, and this isn't us saying, you just had bad expectations. It's not, it's not the fact that it's a boring fight, it's one of those fights where you're just like, when's something actually interesting going to happen here?
Mr. Sherlock, get a freaking clue, dude. That thing sucks, bro. Come on, seriously, you got it. I mean, I got it. 77 lightsaber battles, not great. Empire Jedi, better, but the pinnacle is episode 1, and then you guys went too far, and to call this choreography breathtaking, it took my breath away. Hey, too, when I went, why am I watching Obi-Wan Kenobi dance on screen?
Yeah, I mean, even the Grievous and Obi-Wan fight was more interesting than the Anakin Obi-Wan fight. The Dooku versus Anakin fight was far more interesting than the Obi-Wan versus Anakin fight. It's the least interesting lightsaber fight in Star Wars history. And it's supposed to be the most important one, other than, Luke, Emperor, Vader three-way, and at the end of Jedi. It's the most important one.
Now he notes one positive on here that I almost agree with. But Battle of the Heroes is one of John Williams' greatest compositions. I agree.
Please remember, when we slag off the prequels, if Johnny Williams is ever listening, Mr. Williams, we don't mean you.
No.
Your scores are fantastic. Yeah. Thanks very much for your contributions.
And I will say that I can honestly say that I would rather listen to pieces from the PT than the ST many times.
Yeah, and make up my own story in my head actually as to what was going on with the music, because the music's better than what we got in
that is a great composition, and the music in my mind images is much better, Mr. Sherlock. So come back when you can explain how twirling your lightsaber in the exact same
find his email address and send him that gif.
Same thing. How that is supreme, breathtaking choreography. Yeah, I challenge you. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to us this week. And indulging that little bit right there. Tell us what you think about the stories in the comments below. Check out lrmonline.com every single day for all your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. The YouTube channel, subscribe. Lots of really awesome stuff. We're doing live things. There's a Justice League review up on there now that we did live last night, and then the podcast channel, wherever you get your podcasts from, Apple, Spotify, the whole nine. Like, share, subscribe. Anime, Star Wars, LR Mornings, Marvel, Breaking Geek, so much content. Just get there. Cam, where can people find you online?
You can find me at I couldn't remember but back to the old days, at LRM_cam. You can find me on Twitter, so just hit us up as well as if there's anything you want us to talk about on this show. Topics you want to see us kind of explore, and if it's Star Wars related, we're always happy to jump in.
Absolutely. You guys find me at that Kyle Malone. Excuse me. At that Kyle Malone on Twitter, at that one Kyle Malone on Instagram. That's the number one. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week. May the Force be with you.